Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Expert to Authority show. My name is Simone Vincenzi, and this is the show for coaches, speakers, and trainers who want to grow their businesses while making an impact in the world. And today we are part of a special series where we interview the winners of the GTeX Awards in 2024. And I want to start with the winner of the Expert of the Year award, which is given to a business in the space, which had an incredible growth and managed to get something done of that has been very impressive. This is what we are looking for: financial growth as well as doing something that is very impressive. And the winner is the one and only Pamela Stambaugh. Pamela, good to see you here. How you doing?
Thank you, Simone. I am great. Thank you. I
All right.
really,
That's brilliant. It's great to hear that you're well. And just to give a quick introduction about you, you're the founder of Accountability Pays, and you work in the leadership field, in particular helping leaders with their being or embodying their leadership qualities, and by default, it extends to their team. This is a big part of your work, who you need to be, what you need to do, and what you also need to have in place in order to be the leader that is going to influence the organization top down. And big part of the project that got you to win the awards, which you're going to show us in a moment, is the Success Accelerator and Action Multiplier. And what I would love for you to start with is to talk about one, what made you start that particular project and what the Success Accelerator is, and what made you start it. So, Pamela, over to you.
sure. So what made me start it, Simone, was the fact that I knew as I looked at the research in trusting leaders and in engagement, that it wasn't getting better. There were no significant signs of improvement. In fact, if anything, especially trusting leaders was going the other way. And I can't do the difference. I can't make the difference myself. So what I needed was a framework, which I had started working on in 2017. And then I got some reinforcement because Forbes Publishing came to me and said, "Hey, you're a thought leader. Why don't you publish this?" I returned with a request. I said, "Why don't you tell me what you think I have? Give me the outline of the book." And they did. And they said, "Wow, yay, let's go." But I wasn't ready because just me could not deliver to what's needed in the marketplace today. And of course, all of what you know in Europe better than we know in the United States is volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. I use that terminology and I usually have to explain it. So how I moved forward was I had to learn what is a learning management system. I had to learn what would a structure be, how could it be delivered, how long would it take. A success accelerator, to answer your question, in the sense of what I've created as what I call the continuity thread for the other coaches to align to, is 52 weekly drops from the learning management system that are wired to the assessment I use, that has people look at how they're being, that tells their team they care, their support, they are, a manager is somebody that was given responsibility to produce results for a team. A leader is someone those people would follow to the moon and back. And that's the distinction I make. So I'm working week by week by week to showcase, first of all, we've assessed so that they know what their preferences and tendencies are on those 52 weeks of journey. And then I'm giving them some thoughts, some space, some conversations to have with that team, some journaling to perhaps do, right? I'm giving them a journey
Hmm.
because I know, and you know, that behavior change does not happen fast if it's going to stay.
Correct.
Yes,
Absolutely.
right. Some people say 3 weeks, you can change a behavior in 3. Yeah, but you can't keep it there unless you practice it every day, every
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, and I love in particular you're thinking about sustainable change. And this is the difference between selling a one-off or say, here are some leadership skills, or be calm and be a leader, right? Because that journey takes time. That journey takes accountability. That's also why you called your company Accountability Pays. That journey takes accountability and it pays. But the accountability for the transformation is really important. Otherwise, we go back to our default or our blind spots.
Yes,
And one of the things that I love about your project is that in the conversation, the sessions that we are having while building this, you talked a lot about legacy. Like this is for you not just a product. This is your legacy. Can you expand on that?
sure. Yeah, if I've been an executive coach many, many years, many, many years. And if I said how old I was, you'd go, no, right? Because this is the time when I'm still passionate about it. And my purpose for the world, what I want to leave is the capacity for leaders to lead and the desire for leaders to lead with integrity, with love, and listen for people's greatness. Now, those are being statements, right? You can't measure integrity. You can't measure love. You can't measure that someone's listening for people's greatness, but you can measure engagement. You can measure discretionary effort. So a leader who is being trusting is beyond the contract, beyond uh, trust but verify, and trustworthy is somebody that puts integrity back in when it goes out, because it will go out. That's how we roll as humans. We don't keep all of our promises, so we have to reset those promises, right?
Yeah.
Being conscious. I call it mindfulness, heartfulness, and then the underpinning of that is self-care. The foundational piece is self-care, but it's all in the realm of who you're being
And that's
as,
and that's why. Sorry, did I cut you off? You were finishing something.
as a leader, who you're being as a leader, right? I
Okay.
made
Yeah,
it.
and that's why this transformative change, this transformation takes time and it creates accountabilities. And you will have these 52 lessons where every time you work on a different aspect and there is a lot of self-reflection. One of the parts as well that creates this legacy project or a legacy business is also the fact that while before you were at the center of the delivery, then now you are at the center of the creation and other people go out and look for business using that methodology or deliver based on who is the most qualified to serve that particular industry or that particular client. And so there is a complete different level of business and a different level of thinking that goes from I'm creating a system that other people can follow compared to I'm going in and I'm going to do my thing with the team. So what I would love to know as part of this project, so two things as a segue into the interview. One, some of the unexpected joys in creating it, and the other one is going to be later the unexpected challenges. And starting with joys, I would love to start with joys. And first one, I would love you to share also the GTeX award because it brings me joy to give it to you. I know you have it there, so you
Where's the
can show
G
it to
to
everyone.
receive it too? I better turn it around so you can read it. So it's the GTeX Award Expert Biz of the Year, which is amazing, with my name on it, and it's got the year 2024. So thank you so much, Simone. You were such a part of that journey, right? The encouragement that you gave me and the feedback and all of that. Such a great experience.
I appreciate it. So, what unexpected joys did you find in creating this project?
Well, so the joys really came. I don't think anybody can do anything alone, right? We can go in the desert and do what we do, and but I created an advisory group to help me through the first 12. so that I would know if I was on target. I would get help with the format. And so the joy was that CEOs that I had worked with, CEOs I hadn't worked with, people that I have a respect for, all said, sure, I'll help. And so I had this little panel of people who, when I was finished one, I'd send it off and I'd get this feedback. And I really believe feedback is a breakfast of champions. So I get the feedback and I would apply it, out it would go again. And it took me longer to do the first 12 so that I knew I could get the cadence going. And that was a joy to work with those people and have them feel like I had a team, right? And I did, right? And then I said, thank you so much. No, I think I got it and I could move on myself. Another joy is that the graphic designer that I worked with is just friggin' amazing. And she has been by my side since the beginning. And so everything that I have framed has the same look and feel. I had done my website not too long before that, so everything was aligned to what my colors are, what my look was, what all of that stuff is. So that was joyful, right?
I can,
And in the middle of last year, into July or June of last year, I created a little celebration. And I invited people to come. Now, it wasn't free because I was throwing a party. And I'm like, just so you know, this is a celebration of the success accelerators because I was really almost done with that part of it. And now I wanted to get people to see what I was up to. But I didn't want it to be all about me, right? I wanted to say, here's where I am, but I wanted to recognize people who are about people. And so I brought in a gal who I'd known since 2003 to talk about her blue ribbon ceremony, blueribbons.org. And she's teaching people who I am makes a difference and gives them a little ribbon. And I had her be the keynote. And then I had a friend of a friend had become licensed in my technology. Um, and I didn't know it, but she from New York was in San Diego because her husband was in a theatrical production. Uh, Bart Chateau is his name, and we're at lunch, and I didn't even know she had a Broadway husband, Broadway singer actor, and she said, "Oh, Bart'll do that for you. He'll come in and sing." I had a Broadway star sing, and that was joyful. And then I have a friend who has a little jazz band here. All of them are ex-professional musicians that have aged out, but they aren't done with their music. So they came and played, and I had Veuve Clicquot. Do you know, it was a celebration. It was a luncheon, and I had 75 people show up.
that's
Some of them were friends and past clients from the East Coast, from Chicago, right from Northern California. So I just was full of joy.
I love that, and I know I've seen the development and the creation of that event during the session that we were having. And what I love about your approach and who you are is that one, you always recognize people around you, and you're really talking about leadership, embodying the part of bringing people together for a common goal, for a common cause, which is how the Success Accelerator then developed in this way. Now, I want to change and shift gear and talk a bit more about the challenges. What unexpected challenges did you have while developing this new business model?
So the biggest challenge was allowing myself to follow my own intuition, right? And Carolyn Mace, who's a medical intuitive and kind of just one of these wild brains, has a series of material. I'm right now re-listening to one called Energy Anatomy, and she says whenever you start in a project, I don't care what it is, the minute you go over that one ledge that says, I'm here, I'm doing it, you go into the desert and you get crazy. your brain leaves you, right? I mean, it's like you could be in the desert for days, weeks, months, years, right? It just takes that to allow the process to come through. It's kind of a craziness. And I definitely experienced that. It was like, oh, here I am. What am I doing? Right. So there's self doubt. And then the technology challenges, right? I'm not particularly technology savvy, but oh, what's a learning management system? Which one? How do I get in there? What does it need? Who can do the technology of it? Right. And then the same thing happened when I said I'm going to do 52 short videos. Well, I have another friend who's been a friend since my National Speakers Association days, who now lives a couple of blocks away. And he and my husband are good friends. His name's Daniel Burris, and he's written books and travels and speaks all over the world on how do you get real stuff done, right? The hard trends and the soft trends. Well, he sold me for a fraction all of his very fancy videotaping equipment because he was replacing it. The serendipity of it, but also now I have this equipment, and the hard part is, how do I use it? How do I run it? What? How do I put it together? So I had interns from my MBA school, my University of San Diego, come in and do the technology for me and with me when I was recording. And sometimes I do 12 at a time, and then I go change clothes and come back. And I built a little studio in a closet in our condo here. I'm like, well, I can make that work, and it does. Yeah, so just crazy little, oh, now I have that hill to climb.
Like kind of like you don't know what you don't know, right?
I don't know.
Like, okay, I'm going to go this project. This is what it's gonna look like. I can see the end result, and this is what I want that to be. And then there is the journey to get there. And a lot of time we don't know what we don't know. And that's the beauty and challenge of creating something new or stepping out to the level of known or creating something magical or creating something big or creating something audacious. That's also why a lot of people don't do it. And that's why for you to go through this process successfully to the finish line, that's why you've been awarded also with the Expert Business of the Year award. Because the project that you have created is not easy to create. It's not easy to manage. There needed a lot of people involved, a lot of thinking involved, but we are here, and that's what I love about it.
I gotta share something about that very thing
Let's go.
because because you're talking about the persistence that it took. Yes.
That's what I'm
And
talking
the
about.
funny thing about that is it's a story I tell every time I debrief one of the assessments that I do, because one of the paradoxes measured is how experimenting you are, which is finding creative ways and new ways of doing things, and how persistent you are at doing it. And when I first took the assessment 26 years ago, 1999, I was a 10 on a 10-point scale in experimenting. And you can see that's an expression of that. I love to create, but I was a 3 on persistent. And I went, "Ooh, that's an imbalance, right?" It just it's the chasing shiny objects phenomenon, right? And that's where I was 26 years ago. But I said to myself right there, well, all I have to do is just really stick around and see what happens, right? Because that's what persistence is staying the course. And I had learned in that intervening period of time, that's what it takes. So my 3 on persistence is a 10 today. So I have a 10 and a 10. So when you talk about innovation, I am wired for sound in that way, but it was a journey. That's that learning journey I want to teach other people.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautifully said, and that persistence pay off. So for everyone who is listening or watching right now, stick around. Stick around. That's the key message. I want to wrap up this interview with two more questions. The first one is, what kind of support did you get from GTeX? How, because you're part of the GTeX family, you're part of the Ultimate Expert program. What kind of support did you receive that helped you also go through some of the challenging moments or putting in place also these parts of the project?
Oh, well, so when we get together as a community on the Zoom platform, the Zoom part just kind of goes away. We get in our little breakout rooms and we support each other, and there's real support there, you know. And then I've created friends and possible strategic partners in this whole process, and you know, from people who have similar things but not the same, who could be buddies up with me, or people who don't deliver the same thing, but but it's complementary. And you're teaching us how to partner, right? I mean, that's a big piece of what we're getting here. I can hardly wait for our next one-on-one, Simone, because as I said to you the last time, I know two people I am just, you know, chomping at the bits to have a conversation with about what might that look like. And but I don't remember the structure and I haven't found my notes. So I'm like, okay, I've got to get back to that conversation because that's a huge piece of it, right? I mean, people help people. Um, and that, and you know, one of the things about the lesson I have for leaders is you've still got to be a human being. Vulnerability is actually more attractive. Vulnerability
Yeah, we
is
can see that. It's okay.
more
That's the beauties of
attractive.
the live interviews.
I You don't see him. See him. We're just on TV. Never mind. Yeah, but vulnerability is far more attractive when you're talking to people than trying to look perfect or be perfect. And that's the part that is the embracing, right? It's you share. Yeah, I didn't get it perfect, and here's what I learned. And that's how leaders need to be when they're coming into the existence of being a leader with their teams.
All right, I love it. So to wrap up this interview, the question I have for you is, what final message then would you have for someone who is going to start a journey this year in 2025 that pushes their comfort zone, that is not what they're used to, where they're going to step into this unknown, where they're going to step into this desert? What message do you have for them?
Yeah, you have to get comfortable with not knowing and then find people to ask because that's how we grow. Um, and it's not age related. I might add, right? Age has nothing to do with how eagerly you embrace the unknown. In my teaching, what I see, I had a program that was 6 months, and I could see there were people who waited 3 months to actually get started, and then they can't go as far. Yeah. So in the first step of any of that journey is to embrace the fact that you're in a journey and that you don't know what's over that next hill. It's okay.
Embrace the journey. And it's okay if you don't know what's gonna happen next. Pamela, congratulations again for winning the Expert of the Year GTeX Awards. Well done. Very well deserved. I cannot wait to see the growth that you're going to have also in 2025. And for everyone who's watching, everyone who is listening, again, make sure you connect with Pamela. Her links, her social media, LinkedIn and website, they are in the show notes. So check them out in the show note or the description. And until next time, remember that together we grow exponentially. Ciao!
Thank you.